We should be live. We are live. Welcome to Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast, sponsored by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. Once again, want to let people know also about Justin's stories. His comic book is pretty cool, and I believe he gave me some information here. His comic books on other platforms, maybe switching completely now, but have on this one and Amazon. The company's called Sheer Nova Comics. You can read his now comic books on like E-Frame Vision, stuff like that. And the subscription's about $5.49 a month. So we'll put that information on our Facebook page if you guys are in the comic books and stuff like that. This is for like the electric laptops and stuff like that. So take a look at that stuff. JB Scale Graphics, go take a look at their stuff. They're officially licensed also with J Concepts, Bigfoot, Obsessed, Against the Grain, Heavy Hitter, Overkill, other trucks more to come in the future. Also with J Concepts, USA 1, and the Samson truck too. Nick Davis, Back Channel Productions. We have a little commercial we'll play prior to everything else. And for the last two episodes, we had someone pass away. This time, I don't think we're going to have that, thank goodness. But we'll play that stuff. And, the MTRC, Colby Marshall does an awesome video for us, intro. Thank you again. And he helped us out. And go check out his stuff. It's pretty cool seeing all the 10 scale versions of like that truck or those trucks on the side, or that Bigfoot truck right there, stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see. 6B Apparel, these hoodies $100 a pop. Come check it out. From 6B, message me or Brad. Also, I have crew shirts. My crew shirts over there. These hoodies are pretty cool. They're comfy. They're $100 pop if you want a crew shirt too. So it's pretty cool to get, to see that stuff. Also, like I said, thank you to Joey Sylvester and High Octane Coffee. Sorry about letting people know late notice about the scheduling. The cool thing is Travis Mowery stepped up, so we'll talk to him here in a little bit. Next week's guest is actually going to be a pretty cool one, and I told Brad about this, and he's pumped up, but a lot of people are going to be like, oh, we won't believe until we see it, but next week's guest is going to be Ryan Anderson, so Mr. Son of a Digger himself, over there at Stadium Yellow and Monster Jam. We're going to definitely test the waters, and hopefully this can give us a door opening to invite Monster Jam talent to our program. We have to kind of branch off to the other guys, and we're trying our best to be a different program, so which is all fine and dandy. If you like that stuff, go listen to them, that's cool, but for us, it's just a little bit different. So, so next week's will be Ryan Anderson. So, that's about it for news and stuff like that. If you guys are good in the Chicago area, Hall Brothers Racing will be there with the Monster Jam Central Tour. With Travis, he's going to be at Wichita, Kansas. So, see that also. And I think the West Tour. And then I don't know where the East is at, but whatever. I know the red is going to be in Detroit, and I don't know where the yellow is going to be at. But so outside of that, folks, there's my big old microphone. Outside of that, folks, let's get the ball rolling. So we'll play some ads, and then we'll get this started. So let's do it.
This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
And welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Crush This. My name is Brad Shaw. That's Dan Agash, as he said in the beginning. And yeah, next week, Ryan Anderson. That is such a cool thing. It's also kind of cool because Ryan recently just bought one of those rear steer switches that we've been advertising. So that's going to be really cool as well to talk about that. And, we have some other Monster Jam talents that are going to be coming on the podcast at some point. Dan's going to be doing some recorded episodes while he's at some of the events. So, today we got a driver for Team Throttle Monster, driver of the Rockwell Red truck, Travis Mowery. Travis, how you doing, man?
Good, guys. How are you guys?
Oh, doing good. I can actually call him a friend. We always hung out during Monster Jam, and this guy actually is the one that introduced me to the Trigger King RC event. Remember, staying in Florida, he watched the stuff and got me hooked on it, and that's where I'm at now. So I blame you, sir, but it's a good blame.
Hey, man, it's crazy. Our toys just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, right on. So let's start off with I personally know you, but a lot of people may not know that your family was owned the monster truck at one time. And let's just start from there. Like, people may not know the truck that your dad actually owned.
Yeah, man. So, I was just a child, just living his normal life or whatever, and I was always a big fan. And we'd go to the local monster truck shows. And, my dad, he was at the Pontiac Silverdome when Bob Chandler rolled over the cars for the very first time. And, so he was hooked ever since then. And so, he would go and help out at local shows and whatever, just, chip in here and there with people like Bennett Clark, with old Clydesdale, and, the late Scott Hartsock and, Dennis. I mean, my hometown, I'm only about an hour and a half from the dungeon. So, we would make frequent visits down there, and you got to know everybody down there pretty well. And probably in about the somewhere in the 2004 time frame, my dad purchased the Wild Air truck from Jason Whitty. And he campaigned that for about 3 or 4 years, and then he got out of it. And to me, that was a big part in my life. You're 7, 8, 9 years old. And, you see your dad, going around the country with a monster truck. I mean, that's just the coolest thing ever. And so I'd ride in the rig with him when I could, away from school. And after he hung that up, but I just kind of focused on what I had to do and get out of school. And it was a ride. Once I got out of school, I actually started working for Brandon Lagarde with Sudden Impact Racing out of New Orleans, and spent about a year down there, and got my feet wet, kind of actually traveling with the trucks and whatnot. And then I decided, I'm just gonna go back home for a little bit and kind of just chill out, clear my mind, and see what I want to do. And then I got approached, if I wanted to work at Monster Jam or not. And I was like, man, that's another once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, I'm all about goals and dreams and do what you love. So if you get an opportunity, anything in life, just don't look back, just go for it. And so that's what I did. I packed everything up in a U-Haul trailer and my pickup truck, and I moved down to Florida. And I started working with Monster Jam, and I was thankful enough to be the crew chief on the Metal Militia truck for Todd LeDuc for the remaining season or two he was in there. And then Matt Byton took over, and we had a great season there. And it was a big learning curve. Fresh out of high school, and just right into traveling the United States every single weekend. That's a lot for a young individual. And so it was a lot to take in. And so I put my time in at Monster Jam, and those guys are super good, and I enjoyed it. Met great people like yourself there, Cheech, and had a lot of great times. But it's not exactly what I want to do. I put my time in as a crew guy, and I always had the passion, the dream, and everything to actually drive a truck. And believe it or not, I was me and Tim Minte, we had got into a conversation because we were actually on tour together. And, he had told me where he was at. I told him where I was at. And, coincidentally, we made stuff happen. And, he was only about 4 hours away from my hometown. So that was even better. I was able to basically sleep in my bed on the weekend or on the weeks. And then on the weekends, go traveling with my teammate, Steve Thompson at the time. And, man, that was a really good time in my career. And, if anything, that's kind of like what broke the ice and allowed me to kind of get out and stretch my wings or whatever. And, I was able to debut in Monster Jam. I was able to go under the Zombie identity for full stadium series. That was my very first Monster Jam tour, and that was a surreal feeling because you go from doing you start from driving a truck in these little fairground speedway shows, and then then you get told, hey, you're gonna debut in a stadium here in a couple months. Get ready. I'm like, oh man, that's a lot a lot of intimidation and the nerves going through the roof. And I actually debuted in Sao Paulo, Brazil, under the NEA truck. It was actually the very last time that truck was ever ran. So I feel pretty honored to do that. And so then after that, then that's when I did the Zombie first quarter in the stadium, and that actually went really well. We had a lot of veteran people on there, and a lot of people I've always looked up to and respected. And I can't exactly remember where I finished. I think it was 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that in points. But I took it as a grain of salt. I was just doing it my best, and each weekend for me was a learning curve. And I was pumped. So we moved on from that, and then ended up finishing out the year, and then decided I wanted to take some time off. But then that didn't last long. I ended up crewing for my wife now, Kaylin, and her father Darren for the 2019 season. And then I did that to help him out. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I want to take a little break from monster trucks. Want to get a real job, settle down. So that's what I did. I got a real job, settled down, started a family, bought a house, lived that whole life. And, something about monster trucks and traveling, man, it's, you can't hang it up after you've done it for so long. So, the itch kept itching, and, I got back out on the road, and, I started driving for Darren a little bit, and then I moved to Kansas, and then we did some stuff there, and that was another chapter in my life. And now I'm here, man. I'm now driving for Team Throttle Monster, driving the Rockwell Red truck, and man, nothing short of a good time. The team: Paul, Mike, Tutall, Tim, Lane, Dalton, Zach. They're all great people, man, and great equipment. And, I'm super excited for what the future holds. And, we've been having a great season so far. The truck's been working super well. We're sitting 5th in points right now. There's an 18-point difference between 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So it's basically a pretty good battle every single weekend. But, big part is, man, just having fun with it. And, these arenas, they're definitely something a little different to get used to, going from, bigger floors or whatever to arenas. You definitely got to change your driving style up a little bit. But, I feel like it also makes you a good, it sharpens up driving skills in other areas as well, because I've always, told myself, if you can wheel one of these big behemoths in one of these small arenas and do something, that's something to be spoken for. And, I'm pretty proud of my journey, and, it definitely has not been easy. A lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears put into it. But, go with that good old saying, you never give up and chase your dreams and do what you love. And, it'll always come out every time.
Man, you're the definition of, somebody that's bred to be in this sport, with your dad having, the old wild hair. And let's go back to those days. How was it being around the sport in that time period? I remember when Jason owned the truck, he always kept that thing immaculate, always looked tip top shape. How was it, growing up around that? Was it at that point, like, were you a fan even before that, before your dad got the truck?
Oh, 100%. I was a fan back as far back as I can remember. My dad would take me to shows literally as far back as I can remember. And, so of course, being a young kid, just going to a monster truck show in general, you're hooked ever since the first time you see it. And then one day, your dad just brings a truck home and parks it in the driveway and just, starts wrenching on it or whatever. So, it was definitely different, being young. I spent a lot of late nights with him. And, for all intents and purposes, my dad never had a big budget in the monster truck world. So, there'd be many times where he would work on the truck in the trailer where he was keeping it at. And, I would go there, and, me being so young, I could only do but so much. But, to watch my dad, give his whole heart and his whole world and just, give everything to make that work. I mean, that showed a lot to me as a person, and showed that you can honestly do anything you put your mind to. Because before that, he worked at the local power company and he was a lineman. So he went from that to literally owning a monster truck and traveling around the United States doing that. So, it was very cool. And also being young, you see all these trucks on TV, like Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, Tom Mintz, and, the Blue Thunders and, the Bulldozers at the time, and old Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher. I mean, Bennett Clark. I mean, all those old names like that, you see them on TV, and then, fast forward a couple years, and then you're witnessing your dad lining up right beside them racing. It's like, man, that's pretty cool. You can't take that away. And
No.
it was awesome to see. That kind of I wouldn't say shaped me, but it definitely like showed me like, look, if you put your head down, you focus, you get your mindset right, the dreams are endless.
So we got our first fan question here for you, Travis. Other than your dad, who was your favorite driver / truck growing up?
Believe it or not, man, I got quite a few of them. One of them I'd have to say is Scott Harsock, man. He was just a good, genuine dude, man. He always ran hard. He know when to lay hard or run hard and just kind of, I wouldn't say lay down, but just, be smart about things. And, the truck always looked good, always had tons of power. And, I always just, liked the way that he kept everything very professional, top-notch operation.
So let's your journey started with going to Louisiana with Brandon Lagarde and the Sudden Impact team, and that team throughout the years has had some of the best trucks in the business and the drivers. You look at who's been through there: Sean Duhan, John Zimmer, Father Time, Kevin Kazala. How was it starting out with a team that had such a history in the sport?
It was nerve-wracking at first. It kind of was a spinoff. My dad, when he did shows back then, he did a lot of shows with Brandon and that team, and so that's kind of how I got to know them. And then I was told, once I got out of high school, if I wanted to pursue a career in monster trucks, that I always had an opportunity there. And I mean, I'm 18, fresh out of high school. Why not? That's a dream of a lifetime. So it was definitely intimidating going down there. But knowing everybody going into it also kind of made things a little bit better. I didn't drive any down there. Just, I got my feet wet, traveling and getting that whole, experience in and wrenching on the trucks and just, not only trucks, Brandon, he's got a pretty sweet tank that's got a 572 big block Chevy in it. And that thing is just nasty. And, so that was pretty cool to see that thing work in action. And, I learned a lot, it just, it wasn't for me, and I decided to turn the page. And all those people down there, I mean, they're great people. The food down there is something fierce. I could eat Louisiana food all day long.
So what's you got into the world of Monster Jam, and you got into under the wings of Sean Powers, and then you get yourself, the way of Mel Militia. By then, when you got in, was one of the hottest Monster Jam monster trucks out there, winning back-to-back world finals, different types of championships, but still winning a championship in back-to-back world finals. And the truck, obviously, with the motocross background, and Brian Deegan, but in itself, it's starting to get its own popularity. When Monster Jam, the head people upstairs gave you the reins, obviously I was there too. You took that full head of steam. For you personally, did you feel like that was a challenge for you to notch for your own personal level?
Oh, 100%. The way I see it, Sean had built that truck up with Todd. Sean wanted to take a different path in his career. And, I just, basically I just got lucky, man. They came to me and they asked me, this or that. And, I picked that. And, I was super excited. I was super nervous, definitely intimidated. When I walked in, nobody really liked me from day one, just because, that was a spot that they wanted. And, I knew I had a big shoes to fill. And, I also kind of walked in, not really 100% confident, man, because, it happened so fast. And, moved down there and, we went basically right into first quarter. And, I didn't really get to know too many people, beforehand and or down there in Florida. And, to go right on tour and just basically kind of take over. I mean, granted, Sean was still there, if I needed him and a guy named Jason. We were in the trailer together. Great people. Definitely learned a lot from them for sure. But to basically keep that going from there was definitely big shoes, very nerve wracking. But I did it, man. I'm super excited. We actually ended up making it to the racing finals, and the world finals that year. And can't exactly remember where we finished in freestyle, but to me, that was just super pumped. I mean, anytime I'm around monster trucks, man, I give it 110%. And, to see a truck go out there and to win and go rounds and racing and just, to do good and, stuff. I mean, that makes me proud because, in the middle of the week, there's a lot of hard, long hours that go into it to making those trucks do what they do. So, it was a lot, that's for sure.
Well, you went from having Todd LeDuc, that dude is insane behind the wheel, with Brian Deegan occasionally driving. Then Matt Byton steps in the truck, and I'm a fan of Matt Byton. The dude is insane on a dirt bike. The stuff that he has done in Step Up at the X Games is just phenomenal. How was it, when that happened? Was it, same thing as always, just try to win? Or how was the mentality when all that changed for you?
That was kind of different as well. I mean, I had a good relationship with Todd, still do to this day. And then Matt came in, and Matt had some prior monster truck experience, but not much. So I didn't really know what to expect going into the first event of the season. And he killed it, man. He's just a natural behind the wheel, and so we both grew together for sure. I tried to give him the best truck I possibly could, week in and week out, and I just told him to go out there and drive, win or lose. I mean, of course, everybody wants to win, and that's our number one goal. But the biggest thing was just for him to be comfortable, and just for him to go out there and do what he did. And in my eyes, I think we did pretty good. We ended up going to the World Finals, and he actually did pretty good. Didn't do so good in racing, but it happens, man. It's racing. You win some, you lose some. In freestyle, he went out there and killed it. He landed his first backflip ever, first time. So. It was pretty pumped. And, me and Matt, we actually built a pretty good friendship. We're actually still friends till this day. We share the same birthday. We actually talk pretty often. And, it was cool to see somebody come in from a different world, coming from the dirt bikes and stuff, and just kind of adapt very quickly to the monster trucks. And, it was actually a lot of fun, I wouldn't say that there was less pressure, but there kind of was, I mean, Todd, I mean, obviously, Todd's a madman behind the wheel, no matter what truck he's in. And then, Matt, there, like I said, there was a lot of learning there, and, it was definitely cool to see him progress and to do what he did.
So let's move forward here. You're connected with Tim Mente. Now, prior to, I don't know, I needed to do a little bit more studying, but I know you move trucks around and stuff like that. And I remember the one time you were ordering stuff for like a driving suit and a Hans and stuff like that. But when you got your chance to go behind a wheel into a show, what mentality did you have to go through? Because now, instead of a small scale of what you could do, now you have a truck and you have it wide open. So what type of mentality did you have to do, like, just to run your first event?
Man, that was a lot. It was actually in Troy, Pennsylvania, in a super, super small fairground environment. And coincidentally it had rained the night before, so it was actually rather muddy. So trying to learn how to drive, I guess, a truck in a show for the first time and deal with mud was very nerve-wracking. But to go from basically, just a crew chief mentality to crew chief and driving mentality was definitely different. My biggest thing going into that weekend was I just wanted to learn the truck. I just wanted to get comfortable. I just wanted to feel things out. I wasn't there to be a hero. I didn't want to try to, do anything spectacular because, to me, what makes a good driver is being comfortable in the truck and knowing the truck and how it's going to react. And so, it definitely took me a little while to get there. I still don't really feel like I'm 110% there. I learn something almost every single time I get in the truck and try to critique things till this day. It was very, very nerve wracking. And then, I thought I did amazing. And then I looked at the video. I'm like, oh God, who's this guy? But you know what? That's just like anything, man. I mean, you can watch videos, GoPros, whatever, any type of motorsport, and it just looks, completely different than what it is in real life. And also to be in the truck, I mean, you jump over a van stack, it might feel like you're, 20, 30, 40 feet in the air. And then you watch a video and you're like, oh, I was only that high. Okay. Well, now I need to hit it harder next time. Like I said, it was just a big learning curve. And obviously, I didn't want to break anything, especially first weekend out, I mean, that's not really good for anybody. And, of course, breaking parts is kind of part of it. It's almost inevitable that's going to happen. But that's not me. I don't want to go out there and intentionally destroy the truck, especially also since, I'm not paying for it. And, I also have to work on it. There's a lot of respect there between that. And, that's one thing I've always just kind of stuck to, man. I mean, that's something that kind of look back on, like something like Gary Porter, man. You look at old videos of Gary Porter, that man would run that truck in the ground, but he 9 times out of 10 would drive it off the track, all 4 tires, and drive it right in the trailer. Might still have some broken parts, but I mean, to me, that's kind of where I wanted to be as far as performance wise, and it took me a little while to get there.
Going from that, experience for your first time driving, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a stadium series driving zombie. How did that conversation happen, first of all? And then how was it the first time you walked out into the stadium? You're like, okay, this is intense.
Yeah. So, me and Steve Thompson, we were just doing our thing. We would travel nonstop. We probably did close to 40 weeks out of the year nonstop. And, it was in our busiest season in the summer. Like we would do like a fair show in like Pennsylvania on Tuesday, be in Vermont on like a Thursday or Friday, and then, load back up and go do a show in Ohio on like a Sunday or Monday, just crazy schedules like that. I mean, we do, 3, 4 shows in different venues a week, and it wasn't like that every week, but, we were in the heat of that. And then, Tim was like, hey, they would like to send you to Paxton and Monster Jam University, and just kind of see how you do there, and get you ready for the 2019 season or 2018 season. I apologize. So we ended up going there, and unfortunately we weren't able to do much there. The weather wasn't on our side that week. It actually rained a lot, so all we really got to do was just work on some racing passes. But it's all right. Still learned a lot from there. And Tom Mintz, the man himself, was in my ear the whole time. And so then they're like, all right, well, in about a month or so, you got to go down to Brazil. And so me and Steve, we went down to Florida and the Monster Jam headquarters, and we loaded our trucks up in sea containers. And we spent 3 weeks down in Sao Paulo. It was the first time Monster Jam had ever been there. And we did a lot of media, advertising, displays, interviews, stuff like that to kind of hype the show up, which was something cool to me, because, going from the speedway and fairground shows, you don't really get much exposure, and, you don't get much microphone time. And, to be kind of just thrown into that was like, man, that's pretty cool. I felt pretty honored to be down there. And, so, Steve was representing Zombie down there, and I was representing Team NEA, Police Authority. And, everything was great up until show day. When it started happening, like I was good until it happened. And then like once, the pit party happened and I seen the amount of people, like the nerves started going. And then I'll never forget, doing the pre-show interviews before the show, I walked out of the tunnel and, to see, 50,000 people just, there. It's like, man, this is a lot. Like, this is it. This is what you've dreamed of. This is it. And so then it was good. It hit me again. Driving through the tunnel for intros. And you got the adrenaline pumping. You got your, the pedal to the floor, roaring through the tunnel, and you come out, you see all these people cheering because they've never seen anything like that. And to actually do as well as I did there was also pretty good as well. And then so that boosted the confidence going into the stadium world. Which was just a few weeks after that. Once we got the truck back from Brazil, we swapped everything over and put the zombie body on it, and then took the reins of that and debuted in New Orleans, and that was awesome, man. The nerves weren't quite as there as they were in Brazil, but they were there. They're still there to this day. But it was awesome. It's something I'll never forget, and something to definitely look back on.
So you had a transition from there, and then you helped out with your wife's team, but how did you get in touch in the transition to be part of team Throttle Monster?
Well, believe it or not, me and Mike have known each other for a long time. And not only Mike, but Too Tall, Dave Olford as well. Me, you, and him, we all worked together in Monster Jam, and they were together. And actually, started out as Mike just needed a fill-in spot, throughout the year. So I would fill in for Paul and Zach, various shows or whatever, and then transpired into a potential full-time deal. And we kept talking, and went back and forth, and then we finally found something that worked, and here we are, man. Started was it third week in December or something like that. Went there to Utah, and the truck that I'm driving today, Rockwell Red, tore that truck down completely. Made a bunch of changes to it, freshened it up, and reassembled it into the monster that it is today. And they're great people, man. Great team, great sponsors. I can't ask for nothing better.
Over the last couple of years, Team Throttle Monster has definitely become one of the, best teams, best independent teams. What's it like, the camaraderie? Because I know you mentioned you worked with Too Tall at Monster Jam. You got guys like Dalton Widener, and how's the vibe at Team Throttle Monster with all you guys?
Man, it is great. Like, I thoroughly enjoy working with everybody. We like to have a good time. Like, when we're all working in the shop, knuckle deep in a truck, just doing whatever, jamming out to TikTok radio on the radio, just having a good time, man. We all know when to have fun, and we also know when to be serious and put our heads down and work. And that's what I like about us. We're all kind of rather young, but Team Throttle Monster, man, I mean, they're here to stay. Mike and Paul, Zach, everybody, they behind the scenes, they have definitely put in the time and the work and everything to get the team where it is today. And it's amazing how far they've come in such a short amount of time. And I can only imagine where it's going to go from here. But as far as like the vibe, man, I mean, whenever we're together or not together, I mean, we still have a good time. I mean, shoot, we could be, 16 hours away, and, we'll call each other or, just mess around or whatever. I mean, we're all good friends at the end of the day. And, I mean, to work together and to be a team, that's what you got to be. If you take it 100% serious all the time, you're not really going to have that much fun with it. But if you know how to divide things up and have fun and also be serious about work, then, to me, that's a win-win.
Oh, I almost kicked myself out here in a couple seconds. Just I'm trying to get there. We go. Still learning about the clicking motion on the StreamYard stuff, so bear with me, guys. Making excuses for my misclicking. You do what you need to do with you're the team and stuff like that. But how is it also being teamed up with Too Tall? Actually, I think everyone on the team had been a crew chief for a monster truck at one point in time, but you and Too Tall were together during the times of being Monster Jam crew chiefs and crew members. And now you guys are in Monster Jam racing against Brandon Vincent and Tristan England, Miranda Kozad, stuff like that. And now you guys are knocking on their door. How is it cool? How cool is it having, Too Tall as a trailer partner?
Man, it's awesome. It's funny. We would always joke around and just talk about, getting the opportunity to drive when we work together at Monster Jam. And, for it to come full circle and for us to be in a trailer together on Monster Jam tour together. I mean, that's just awesome. Dave's a very smart guy. He knows the truck like the back of his hand, and he's very technical, and he does an amazing job. And he's also a very good friend of mine on a personal level. And I'm super excited to be on this tour with him. And I can't take nothing away from him. He's a hardcore competitor, and whenever we put the helmets on, man, it's just may the best person win if we line up against each other. But can't take nothing away from that guy, man. He's put in his time and his work for sure, and it's really cool to see him go out there and do what he does, and especially to be representing such an iconic name. It's got a lot of history behind it, and to see him be out there rocking and rolling, it's truly an honor.
Well, I'll say this as a Canadian and as an Albertan, it's good to see Jurassic Attack being represented again. Finally, I've known Don for a couple years now. He's a great dude, and it's good to see that name being brought back. But we have a fan question here from Gregory Nagy. His question is, what are your suggestions to the young people who want to get into monster trucks, like wanting to get into like a spot like you're in or a crew member? What kind of advice would you give to somebody?
Man, it's a hard road. I'm not gonna lie. It's not easy. But you got to have thick skin, never give up attitude, and you got to stay hungry. You got to stay after it no matter what. Best advice I can tell you, man, is obviously learn mechanics. Learn how things operate. But go to local monster truck shows. Help out any way you can. Whether it's just putting flour down on the track, or knocking the glass out of the crush cars, or being a track guy, or even if it's helping a team out, putting air in the tires, wiping the trucks out. Do anything you can to get exposure and get comfortable and get your name out there. And just be smart about it, man. Don't give up. Like I said, it's hard. It's not easy. There's a lot of long hours that nobody sees, and it'd be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You're ready to hang it up, but you got to show the next day, and you still got truck and a million pieces that you have to make work. And so I would just say stick with it. Like I said, just try to help out any way you can.
So we're going to take a little bit of off kiltered and learn about your world of RC racing, because you are very what's the word? You're pretty good at it. Uh, let's go talk about that. What attracted you to the RC, and also what got you to buy your first one?
Well, believe it or not, man, it all comes back to monster truck shows. I was at a show with my dad, and during halftime intermission, they would a group of guys would come out, and they would do a demonstration with RC cars. They would launch them off the crush car, racing lane. They would launch them off the FMX freestyle ramp. I mean, they would just do all these cool things, and I'm sitting there as like a little kid, and like, man, this is awesome. I would love to have one of those. And then fast forward a few years, actually, when my dad was driving and doing shows with Brandon Lagarde, that's when he had the Traxxas T-Max monster truck campaigning. And so we purchased a T-Max through him. And, my dad surprised it to me with a wild hair body for Christmas one year. And that was awesome. So me and my grandfather and my dad, we just stood in the front yard for like 2 hours just playing with that thing and breaking it in. And then it led into a local little thing called No Limit RC of Virginia. I went to a local hobby shop one day just trying to get parts, and then I seen them outside racing. I'm like, oh man, what's this? So I checked it out, and then lo and behold, they do sanctioned monster truck style tracks, but just in an RC form. It's a fun family event, and so I ended up going to one of those, and believe it or not, a lot of the Gravedigger crew, or down in the Diggers Dungeon, people associated down there, they were into it pretty big as well. They would race there. So we would do like 2 races a month, and so that got to be pretty addicting, man. It led into 1 truck, into 2 trucks, and the next thing you know, my dad's getting into it, and then we're buying an enclosed trailer to haul our stuff around, mobile workbench, and stuff like that. And my dad, he got real big into the truck pulling side of it. I'm a racer at heart, so of course I like to get technical and fine tune the racing side of it. And so that was cool. I got to meet a lot of cool people there, and throughout doing that monster truck, the no limit stuff, there was also different forms of RCs. There's different classes like 8 scale truggy, buggy, and those are more of like a supercross, motocross style track. And you do like mains, like 20 minutes at a time or whatever. And, so that's where, I kind of feel like I excelled a little bit. I started traveling up and down the East Coast, going to some big national races, and didn't really set the world on fire, man, but I loved it. I eat, sleep, and love that stuff, and I did it, and it all came back to I would still do the monster trucks no matter what. The RC stuff every year, they would do the RC World Finals down at the Diggers Dungeon Memorial Day weekend, and man, there was there'd be 400 or 500 people there with their trucks, and I think the record was like 500 and something RC trucks registered that weekend to race. And there was a lot of big people there, like Barry Masauer. That's where I met him for the very first time, even before he was driving monster trucks. He was down there racing. The Andersons, Adam, Ryan, Dennis, even Teeny Man. Even when Teeny was teeny, he was out there playing with us, and good old people like Sean Duhan, Bobo, Carl Van Horn, Dustin Brown, a lot of other people behind the scenes of Monster Jam, that they were there involved in that. And, that was a big part of my life. It really was. And, I had a lot of fun with it. Don't really mess with them too much to this day, just because of, life's taken a different course, and, I don't really have much time to mess with that, but, I still have it all. Yeah, that was another good chapter.
Now let's talk about the fact that you're kind of in somewhat of an elite company, with husband and wife both driving monster trucks. Your wife Kayla Migas obviously driving Jailbird. Now I don't know how often you guys have raced against each other, but if or when that moment happens, are you guys super competitive with each other when you're at an event?
100%. I cannot take anything away from her. She is a great driver, and she does an amazing job. There has been plenty of times where we've lined up against each other. She's beaten me. I've beaten her. It mainly comes down to if one of us makes a mistake. It's if one of us makes a mistake, that's really all it takes, even if it's minor. I really like to see her race. She's very technical, and when she's on it, she's on it. I'm super excited to basically be able to live my dream with my family. And I say family as in my wife and, our son Crew. He comes to every event that we go to. And, to be able to do that, man, that's a dream right there. You can't take that away.
Now we're also entering the world of being a dad.
Yeah,
whole different ball game. And having the opportunity, now with the family and stuff like that. How is it being a father now?
It is the best thing in the world. It was the scariest thing when it was all happening, because you're young and you're still trying to figure life out for yourself, and now you have another life to take care of. So it's very scary, but man, it's been the best thing ever. For him to be around all this, granted, he's probably going to end up, behind the wheel one day, but you know what, we're not going to push him. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. But until then, just, we're going to make the best of it, capture every moment we can. And, super excited to just do it as a family thing.
Now let's talk about your identity that you created, a couple of years ago. Extreme Attitude. Let's talk about that. Because first of all, I love the body that you chose and the design of it. Black and blue, even black with any color just pops. How did you come up with the name and concept for that truck?
Believe it or not, the general theme of the truck and the name was something that my dad had designed and came up with about a year or two prior of purchasing the Wild Hair name from Jason, because my dad had intentions of just building a truck from scratch and just building a team up that way. And then the opportunity of the Wild Hair came up, and he purchased that. So then the extreme attitude just kind of sat idled. Literally just the drawing sat on a piece of paper, rolled up in the computer room for years and years and years. And every now and then I would go and like unroll it and look at it. I'm like, man, that was cool because he actually designed it on an old, like early '90s Ford, with the Razorback and the sun visor. And I mean, it was legit. It was a little different than what the scheme looks like nowadays, but then fast forward years as my career started to, I guess, progress or whatever. There was a couple times where it was like, oh, would you ever want to have your own identity or stuff like that? And so I was like, you know what, like I actually want to do it with the extreme attitude. That it's kind of fitting for me. Sometimes the attitude gets best of me, but it's part of being young and you learn from it. But so I also look at it as like extreme attitude. Whenever I go out on the track, like I want to be extreme, man. I like to attack the track and just be wild and on the ragged edge. And so I think the name's fitting in that aspect. So I actually had good friends down in Florida with Star Creations. Jesse Starr, he actually designed the truck up for me. And the body, man, I'm a Chevy guy at heart, so you can't go wrong with the early or a newer style Chevy. So I decided to go with that, and debuted it at the end of 2018. And I haven't had the chance to campaign it on a full tour yet, but you never know what the future will hold.
Yeah, that's pretty cool having your own identity and stuff like that. Cole Vennard, has that too with his Black Pearl, but he has it on Jamie Gardner's truck, and rocking it out like that. But let's go back and talk about the Rockwell red truck because they made the beginning of the season. We saw it. Rockwell made a press about it. Introducing you to the truck. How is that, supporting a company, and they also support the armed troops and the military people, EMTs, police, you name it, they support it. That's in America. They support it. So, and they look like pretty cool cats. How is that representing them, and how's the feedback with all the fans?
Straight up awesome, 100% across the board. The Rockwell headquarters facility is actually only about 30 minutes away from our shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so we actually got to go there before our season start and got to hang out with everybody and, just kind of have like a nice little send off. And, it's great, man. Rich and everybody at Rockwell, they're backing us 110%, and the support is phenomenal. To be able to represent a company like that, man, I mean, that's, it's one of those companies like, man, I'd like to have, some of their products one day, and then you end up purchasing some of it. And then, fast forward a few years, it's like, oh, now I'm representing that company like that. That's just awesome. And then also, to represent the men and women sacrificing, their lives for our freedom. I mean, you know, that's just awesome across the board. I mean, I got a lot of military in my family back home on the East Coast, and to be able to give a little tribute and payback to all the people out there, even if it's not military, EMS, firefighters, police. At the end of the day, they're out there doing their job, literally sacrificing their lives for us to be able to do what we do, and to have Rockwell stand behind us and support us 110%. You can't really ask for nothing better, and it's a great combination.
One question that I like to ask, crew guys that have turned into drivers is, do you think being a crew guy first has helped you in learning and understanding how the truck works even before you got in the seat?
Absolutely. As a crew guy, you spend a lot of time watching these trucks. Watching different things, watching how they work, what breaks, what caused it to break, and different driving styles, and different aspects of being a driver from the outside. So and also learning the truck on a mechanical standpoint, as far as how it works and what makes it work, and causes it to work and all that stuff. So being a driver, and a crew guy it has its pros and cons. But I definitely say that being a crew guy before driving makes you a better driver.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome knowing about that stuff, and still trying to climb up there. But Is there any social media people can follow you at?
Yeah. I'm not really too sharp on my social media game like I should be, but I'm on Instagram, T Mowery 77, and then you can find me on Facebook. And then we got the team page, Team Throttle Monster, the Rockwell Red Monster Truck page on Instagram. And then of course you can follow all of our sponsors. If you look at any post on my page, Too Tall's page, Paul's page, Mike's page, Dalton, anybody that's associated, you can see all the tags of all of our great sponsors, and you can follow along there.
Well, I might as well plug my social media, I guess, because I have no other questions. Follow me at the only Monster Truck Canucker. I'm still trying to get my old account back. So if you're getting messages from the Monster Truck Canucker, that is not me. I only have one account. It's at the only Monster Truck Canucker. Follow me on Facebook, Bradley Shaw. Check out Bradley Shaw Designs. I'm getting more and more designs started, a couple of trucks that I'm working on for people. Also, the rear steer handles, the button boxes are for sale. Just get a hold of me, and I'll get you in contact with my friend Casey. Guys like Ryan Anderson, Tyler Menninga, a couple of people have already gotten one. So, that's my stuff.
That's lovely there, Brad. Good job. Good job on that.
I'm awkward, okay?
That was really awkward. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No. Actually, I have one last question for you, Travis. This season, the Reno West Tour, it's been pretty crazy right now. Like you said, the close points gap that's between first and fifth right now, and anything really can go. Coming in, and as of right now, is it consistency, or is there a certain competition that you've been trying to go after?
For sure, man. There's a lot of consistency. You got to be consistent with the competition that we have, because any slip up, mess up, man, it's going to cost you. I'm trying to work on my two wheel skills game. Has not been something I've been able to really focus on for the past few years, and now I'm able to kind of critique it a little bit, and each and every weekend, I try to do something a little different, or try a different approach at things, and it's actually working out really well. I've had some great success in racing. This past weekend in Oklahoma City, I actually took home the racing win Saturday night against Brandon. And it's anybody that we line up against on our tour is not easy. I don't take it lightly at all. And donut competition, man, I can tell you that Rockwell Red Truck loves to get spinning. And so that's pretty fun. But freestyle, that's obviously something that I always enjoy, letting it all hang out there, and that truck works amazing. Josh Garcia and everybody at JG Shock Specialist, they definitely got that set up working amazing. And so the big thing is just trying to be consistent, and we're the road to world finals, man. I mean, whether we get in or not, I'm not going to give up, and that's the ultimate goal. Is to get in there. But, nonetheless, if we don't, then at least I can say I gave it 110%, win or lose. And, I'm super excited. We're actually here in Wichita, Kansas right now. I believe we have 3 events this weekend. I think so. I think it's 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. Could be wrong. Not sure. It's all blurry at this point, but, I'm excited. Season's going well. I'm, sitting 5th in points right now. And, like I said, there's only about an 18-point gap between 3rd and 5th. And that's between me, Bernard, and Too Tall. And it's any man's game. Tristan and Brandon, they've kind of just ran off with 1st and 2nd. But, that's to be expected. You can't take nothing away from those guys. They're very talented drivers. And what they do very well. I'm super excited.
See, back at you, Brad.
Hey,
Back
Brad.
at you. All right, man. I'll go ahead and jump in. Brad has nothing right now. Man, once again, Travis, want to say thank you. Whoa, that was weird. Just add that to it. But thank you so much. My social media, again, Dan GJ Gosh on Instagram and on Facebook. Check out my RC stuff also, Gosh RC. Crush This, check us out on Facebook and Instagram too. Once again, Travis, thank you for coming on. It's good luck this weekend. How many shows? 3, 4 shows the weekend this week?
Yeah, I think it's 3. I haven't really looked at the schedule. Just been taking care of some other things, but no, I appreciate you guys reaching out and asking me to be a part of this. Any chance I can talk with you guys and just conversate, man, it's great. What you guys are doing is awesome, and just getting the monster truck world out there, publicity wise, whether it's you guys or other podcast platforms or anything. I think it's awesome, and I truly appreciate y'all.
That means a lot, man. This is what we do. This is why we love it. Hopefully someone finds our podcast on, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, like, oh, what's this? And then it gets them into monster trucks. So that's why we love doing it.
Yeah, for sure. It's also good to have, different views and different people, from the industry around, coming on the show and talking. I can tell you, I listen to all the episodes going down the road. There's many hours, spending behind the wheel, traveling from event to event. So you got to pass time and what not to do, but just listen about some monster trucks.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different platforms from the Throttle Out to retro monster truck review. If you guys like some old school, there we go. Or if you want to listen to some people stir some pot, it's all different subjects. So, that's cool. And once again, like I said, thank you again. And thank you for everyone that has helped out J Concepts, High Octane Coffee, JB Skill Graphics, Nick Davis, and Back Channel Production, Justin Stories and his books, also 6B Apparel, and MTRC and Hall Brothers Racing. Thank you for all you guys have helped out. Once again, next week's going to be Mr. Ryan Anderson. And Brad, do your thing.
All right, guys. Well, starting off the end, make sure you check up on your friends and family, guys. Mental health is important. If you know somebody's struggling, reach out to them. That could save their life. And like she said, next week, Ryan Anderson, and then we'll be releasing some information on more episodes coming up, guys. So same time, same place next week, guys. Keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.